Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and hello from Ashdod in Israel. My name is Esti Peshin. I'm the General Manager of the Cyber Division of Israel Aerospace Industries, IAI. And today I'm going to discuss early warning systems for information security threats and maybe one or two coronavirus crisis lessons learned. So we have seen a huge increase in cyber events throughout the last 5 years. This is first and foremost due to an exponential growth in information. Another driving trend is the fact that artificial intelligence is already here. Many systems already exhibit some sort of artificial intelligence capabilities. We have also seen an increase in cyber attacks. For example, in 2018, 82% of the companies experienced one sort or another of a cyber attack. Cyber, ladies and gentlemen, is a strategic threat, and we are seeing 6 characteristics of cyber attacks. Number 1, more and more state and superpower involvement. Cyber is utilized by nation states as a means to exert power. We are seeing an increase in cybercrime, even in nation states where the crime level is essentially low. We are seeing more and more cyber attacks on critical infrastructures, large-scale industrial espionage attacks. We are seeing CNI, computer network influence attacks. These attacks are actually attacks that targeted our minds, are trying to influence public opinion. These are extremely dangerous attacks. And finally, we are seeing utilization of publicly available malware by aggressors. Today, it's quite easy to find malware over the dark web and to utilize it. Strategically, we are seeing 4 strategic trends. First and foremost, the weaponization of the cyber domain. The lack of accountability and attribution within the cyber domain. This essentially means that it is extremely difficult to attribute an attack to a specific attacker. This means that the cost of a cyber attack is extremely low, because if a certain aggressor attacks another person or organization, the person or organization will be hard-pressed to identify the attacker and therefore will not be able to retaliate. We are seeing a widening skill gap. There are not enough cyber professionals out there. There are not enough cyber good guys out there to counter all the cyber attacks. And finally, the bad guys are eyeing the new technologies, the cloud, the Internet of Things, and are moving there faster than the defenders. Now, we are seeing quite a few threats related to critical infrastructures. First and foremost, the connection between the OT, the operational networks, and the IT networks. We are seeing systems that reach their end of life and are therefore becoming more vulnerable. Software updates are a huge attack vector. Supply chain has always been the king of attack vectors. More and more attacks are emerging through supply chain, through software and hardware components that are part of the critical systems that may be vulnerable on their own. We're seeing physical threats, mostly related to the human factor, and finally, remote access. Many critical infrastructures have remote access capabilities which allow the vendors to actually maintain, monitor, and fix the systems as and when necessary. These remote connections can provide access also to the aggressors. Now, the coronavirus is changing the way we are doing business today. We are seeing organizations that are adopting large-scale work-from-home capabilities. We are seeing heightened activities on customer-facing networks, greater use of online services, both for personal consumption and for organizational use, cloud services, entertainment systems, mobile mail, and so on and so forth. And finally, we are seeing an increase in the utilization of personal devices and personal email for working purposes. BYOD, bring your own device, is king. Now, the adversaries are aware of these opportunities and are abusing the situation for their own advantages. They are abusing the increased connectivity in order to gain advantages. So today we are seeing several types of threats emerging as extremely important. First and foremost, phishing. Now, during the coronavirus era, we are all striving to receive information about the coronavirus, about healthcare programs, about government incentives. Now, throughout the first months of 2020, approximately the third week of February, there were 5,000 coronavirus-related domains that were registered. As of the 20th of April, there are 51,000 domains related to coronavirus that have been registered, 9% of which are suspicious and may be malicious. These provide huge opportunities for adversaries to gain personal information about us, to gain access to our credit card numbers, and basically to cause us to do things that we wouldn't have otherwise wanted to do. We are seeing an increase in cybercrime. We are also seeing an increase in attacks targeting healthcare systems. Just by way of example, on 19th of March, there was a cyber attack against a Czech hospital, a DDoS attack. This attack debilitated the hospital systems for a little while. Just recently, on the 20th of April, 1 month thereafter, there was another attack on the Czech systems, this time a widespread attack. This time the attack is also targeting information, targeting the availability of the systems, and targeting the systems themselves. Extremely disturbing that the bad guys, the adversaries, are cynically targeting healthcare systems during this coronavirus crisis. We are seeing attackers increasingly targeting remote services. And finally, we are seeing many phishing attacks. Phishing attacks are attacks that are actually conducted over voice. We receive a call from a certain entity, maybe a customer support call, maybe a call related to an online delivery, and we are required to provide information. This information, again, can be used against us. So, ladies and gentlemen, when trying to counter these increased attacks, we need to remember one thing. National-grade challenges require national-grade solutions. So in order to effectively deploy a cybersecurity framework at the national level, you need 5 elements. Number 1, state-of-the-art technology. Number 2, methodology on how to effectively use this technology. You need constant innovation because the threats are evolving and the solutions are evolving as well. So the system must adapt to the new threats and to incorporate new solutions. You need collaboration because our strength lies in our numbers and our ability to share information amongst the good guys. And finally, capacity buildup. Training and awareness of your cyber force and of the entire population. The real challenge today in the coronavirus era is to balance business continuity, working from home in order to be able to achieve the business goals, the operational goals on one hand, with cybersecurity. Cybersecurity must be in place in order to effectively allow the business continuity. Israel Aerospace Industries, IAI, is the gateway to Israel's cyber ecosystem. IAI is proud to lead the Israeli Cyber Companies Consortium. This consortium comprises of 11 companies, Israel's finest companies, enabling to provide our end users with an end-to-end cyber solution tailored for their needs. IAI also established the Israel Aviation Cyber Companies Consortium, a consortium of 8 companies providing end-to-end solutions for the cybersecurity for commercial aviation. When we establish a cyber ecosystem, we need to balance 3 capabilities. The government and operational capabilities, which are basically the organizational structures, the operational tool, the legislation framework, and the capabilities at the national level to monitor and counter cyber attacks. The private and the public sectors must be part of the ecosystem. They are the ones that provide the resilience. They are the ones that must be aware of the cyber attacks and how to counter them, and they are the ones that must share information about attacks against their organizations. We're basically trying to achieve what we refer to as a clean water model, which basically means that we're trying to maintain the national cyberspace clean from cyber attacks. And finally, the human resource. The human resource must be elevated to cyber awareness and cyber skills, and this can be achieved through cyber academia, leading to cyber professionals, and through education, even at the school children age. So in the coronavirus era, in order to achieve cybersecurity, we need 6 elements. First and foremost, awareness. This basically means that we need to make sure the population is aware that potential cyber threats are emerging. They need to be aware of phishing attempts, etc. We need to establish baseline securities within our critical infrastructures. This basically means that we need to deploy firewalls and antiviruses and intrusion detection systems in order to ensure that these organizations are protected at least to the best practice extent. We need to deploy solutions for remote work and services. Now, this goes to the organizations who deploy the remote work, but also to the end users that work from home. When they use a password to connect to their organization, it better be a strong password. And no, ladies and gentlemen, the password is not a very, very good idea, although it's the most common one used in the world. We need predictive analytics, which basically means trying to detect cyber attacks before they happen, trying to predict the attacks by looking at indicative signals that can be seen across the nation state. We need to protect our medical ecosystem. Medical is the new critical infrastructure. We need to protect our hospitals, we need to protect our doctors and nurses, we need to protect their systems. And finally, we need the procedures and playbooks that would allow us to conduct all this cybersecurity activity. So basically, we're talking about 3 elements. Situational awareness. This basically means detecting the attacks, understanding the state of cybersecurity within the nation state or within a specific organization at a given moment. Advanced incident response capability, and this basically means once you are attacked, having the capability to counter this attack, to mitigate this attack, to return to normal course of operation as soon as possible, and information sharing, because our strength lies in our numbers, in our ability to share information amongst organizations. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we need to strike a balance between cybersecurity and business continuity. So the takeaways from this presentation are as follows. First, we need an ecosystem solution balancing governments, the private and the public sector, and the human resource. Cyber is a major pillar in the battle against the coronavirus. There are advanced cyber threats out there. There are built-in vulnerabilities in critical infrastructures, and these are heightened due to the coronavirus crisis. And we need a collaborative approach and advanced capabilities in order to counter the threats. Finally, and this is the most important point here, we need to strike a balance between business continuity and cybersecurity. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this I conclude my presentation. Please do stay safe and healthy, and warm regards from Ashdod, Israel.